Well, we're staying in Brazil for today's Focus Report. It's the world's biggest consumer of synthetic pesticides. Many of these products are banned here in the EU, and the UN has warned Brazilian authorities about the potential health impact of regular exposure to the pesticides. A controversial bill aimed at lifting restrictions on the products is now set to go through Congress in Brazil. Catherine Osborne reports.
Thousands of hectares of banana, a colossal production destined for 80% export to European markets. We are in Limoeiro do Norte, in northern Brazil. Every day in the early hours, dozens of buses travel the region to bring workers to plantations like this one. Banana has become the main source of income in this semi-arid region. So to support a very high level of production, the intensive use of pesticides has become the norm.
It's because the agri-food industry uses these synthetic pesticides we call venom on such a large scale that smaller producers have had no other choice but to start using it too. What they call pests invade their lands if they don't use the same amounts as the big producers.
Reginaldo Araújo fights against the use of synthetic pesticides, or venom, as everyone calls them here. Today he visits a small local producer.
E a manipulação o senhor mesmo que faz. Aí o técnico diz como é que você usa aqui, ele é para usar, você pode usar 10.
No controls, no protective equipment. In Brazil, the use of pesticides is poorly controlled. Yet it is the largest consumer in the world. According to Reginaldo, in Limoeiro do Norte, the consequences are disastrous every day.
These products seep into the water table, in the riverbeds. They end up polluting the entire region. That's why we have so many men and women with cancer, so many children with deformities. It's because of this imbalance. The misuse of pesticides is completely out of control.
It's a mammogram. That's how we detected my daughter's premature puberty with the development of her breasts.
Lucy's daughter was only 1 when her hormonal imbalance was diagnosed. For the doctor, pesticides are responsible. Their only recommendation? Drastically change her daughter's diet. But for Lucy, it's a difficult challenge. What are you doing to avoid contamination?
There's not much I can do, but we have to get by. I don't trust anything, not our soil, nor our water, or even our air. Wherever I go, I know I risk contamination.
The case of Lucy and her daughter Laísa is far from the only one. According to a recent study published by researchers at the University of Fortaleza in Limoeiro do Norte, the deformity rate among children is 75% higher than the Brazilian average. The cancer rate is 38% higher.
Visualmente, a gente identifica que o Ceará é dos estados que mais tem casos de intoxicação.
Dr. Saulo Diogenes is part of the research group that put forward this data.
We defend the position that any pesticide exposure is harmful to health because it will accumulate in the body and it will have negative effects not exactly in the short term, but over time. It will accumulate in tissue and fat, and little by little it will cause damage. This is exactly what these 10 years of research have shown.
In the blood and urine of inhabitants, there are traces of pesticides in alarming quantities. 5 top-selling pesticides in Brazil are banned in Europe. However, in the capital, Brasília, a controversial bill that would facilitate the marketing of these products is under discussion in the Assembly. Heading the attempt is a powerful lobby called the Parliamentary Front of Agriculture, of which Adilton Sacchetti is part.
Did the use of pesticides in food really affect health? Because in the 50s, life expectancy was 50. Now that we use pesticides, it's 74. So aren't we aiming at the wrong issue here? This bill isn't there to benefit big producers. It's been designed to allow us to remove pesticides from the market and replace them with new ones, products that are less toxic and more modern. That's what we want, and that's what we discussed.
Beyond the health consequences, in Limoeiro do Norte, those who fight intensive pesticide spreading face another danger. Macia mourns the death of her father, Zé Maria, an activist, killed here in 2010 with 25 shots fired by henchmen of powerful producers.
It's very dangerous because while it's a noble and justified fight, it goes against the interests of big producers. People who have a lot of power always want more. My father always said this fight is like David against Goliath.
In Brazil, on average, one environmental activist is murdered every week. For many of them, the adoption of the bill on pesticides would seriously undermine human rights that are already fragile in this country.